Hello and welcome back after a brief hiatus to Molby On The Spot here in Anfield Index. I'm Trev Downey. I'm joined, of course, by the legend that is Mr. Jan Molby to discuss all things Liverpool. Good evening, Jan.
Good evening, Trevor. How are you?
I don't know how I am. I think, like a lot of people, I'm actually looking forward to getting your take on stuff because I feel a bit mental, I'll be honest with you. I don't like feeling like the old guy who's reacting like a young guy. And that's kind of how it seems to me at the moment. My take on things seems to be not the traditional take of the more dyed-in-the-wool fans around Slot, around Salah, around all this nonsense. Let's start with the most obvious one that everyone wants to talk about, which is the Salah situation. And let's just get your take on it from the start, from when it panned out, what you thought of at the time. You've seen all the drama around certain pundits who used to play for the club and their reactions and the nonsense sort of soap opera around that. What did you make of it when you saw it, and what have been your thoughts as it's developed?
So, obviously, last Saturday, I was at Leeds, and by the time Salah did his walkthrough, I'd left. And I actually got a phone call from one of the more reliable journalists on the way home. And when I saw his name, I thought, what's happened here? Yes, in many ways, it was a dramatic game, wasn't it? Leeds-Liverpool, but I'm thinking, what could have happened here? And he just told me, and he said, there's an embargo till 9:30. He said, and the full story will be out. Mo's interview, we'll take it from there. So you can obviously imagine what then. And the lads will text me when I get home, and I'm going, I don't know. I need to digest this. I'm not sure. I need to see Mo's interview and listen to it all. So I'm disappointed. I'm disappointed. And the first thing I did, Trevor, was I narrowed it down to this has nothing to do with whether Arne Slot should go or not. And this has nothing to do with whether Mo Salah should play or not. This is all about what he said and why he said it. And then you look and you think, prior to the West Ham game, some 10, 11 days ago, he started every Premier League game under Arne Slot. And I thought maybe could have given it a little bit longer before he lost his head and felt the need to say what he did. And then my first initial result was, how do we resolve this? Because there's no way he can go to Milan. There's no way that Arne Slot and him can be in the same room because he'll affect everybody else and he'll affect the atmosphere. It'll be really, really awkward. If let's say that would have been my big mate at the time, Ian Russ, I would have been I'd have probably been more on Russ's side as such, you know what I mean? I would have gone, listen, don't worry about it and we'll sort it out and whatever. And I know a lot of the lads are really close to him. So Liverpool did what he did. And in terms of not taking him to Milan, I think that was a clear sign that Liverpool are backing the manager. And I said, by the time I did my piece on Tuesday before the Champions League game, I was kind of at that stage where when it's really up to Mo now. The ball is in his court. He needs to do certain things, and apologising, I think, would be one of them, whether that's public or in private, for the whole thing to move on. The most bizarre thing about this, Trevor, is though, so generally, I was a great fan of many things that Sir Alex Ferguson did. Also, the way that he had an unbelievable ability to sort of get rid of players before they started a downward curve. He also had an unbelievable ability to get rid of players if he sensed that they were just getting too big for the whole thing. And that, but you can't do that today, can you? So the club's put in a difficult situation in that all the club really could do was not take him to Milan, but they can't really make a statement, can they? They can't come out and say what they really want to say or how they really feel, just in case something happens. And to be fair, if we're going to think of how they feel, we have to guess, don't we? We have to try and second guess. How do the club feel? A lot of people, so you get so many conspiracy theories, and then people go, so when he signed his new 2-year contract in the summer, yeah, of course he signed that, because that was then with the view of him going in January, so Liverpool get a fee. And I'm going, wow, I never even thought of that. I think he signed a 2-year contract because he wanted to be at Liverpool for another 2 years, and he wanted to score another 100 goals and break another 5 or 6 contract records, as long as he stays away from the penalty records. I can deal with all that. So, people just never ever stop, do they? Everybody's got their own view on this. My view, Trevor, is that if that's how he feels about being at Liverpool, and how he feels that, I don't think this was an entirely dig at the manager. I also think that when he was talking about other people potentially, I don't think that was an entirely dig at the manager. So my feeling, if that's how he feels about being a Liverpool Football Club, the best solution might be to do something else. But it's a massive big call, isn't it? And then you got the people now. So I think technically we've started 6 games this season without him. We're unbeaten in 5 of them. I think we lost the Galatasaray game, but the other 5 games were unbeaten. But I also don't believe that. Okay, so people go, well, Konate should be dropped. Yeah, Konate, the way he's played, should be dropped, but we don't really have any alternatives. And again, this isn't about whether Mo should be dropped or Gakpo. He's chosen to leave Mo out because he was a manager or a head coach under massive pressure, and he had to do something. And since the West Ham game when he left him out, we are unbeaten in 4, 2 wins and 2 draws. But you're not going to remove Mo out of the team and then the next day play great football. And that's kind of the one thing I'm missing at the moment, Trevor. I wish for us to start playing well again, because when you play well, I know we won the game in Milan the other day and whatever, but we didn't play particularly well. And, when you're playing well, Trevor, then we can start getting back to going, we're going to win 3-0 and we're going to do this and we're going to do that. There's so much more fun, isn't it? So, but let me hear where you stand, Trevor, because you started the program by obviously saying that you're going slightly against the grain. So what do you mean by that, Trevor?
Well, I guess an awful lot of the people who would have spoken to you would be of your age or my age would have been saying things like, you don't air your dirty laundry in public. And frankly, that was the end of the conversation for them. And I respect that. I really do. I get it. But like you said, when you actually analyze the things that Mo said, it's a bit more complicated, I think, than people were just thinking. I think you're right with it's not just a dig at Arne Slot. Someone doesn't want me at the club type stuff. I don't think that's a reference to Slot, because he speaks about Slot in a separate category in that interview and talks about how he had a good relationship and now there's no relationship. It's all very dramatic. It's all very unfortunate. I think we all wish he hadn't done it, because it's caused, if you were looking for Arne Slot to leave, it's caused a situation where now the powers that be probably feel like they have to back him, so it's not a sign of player power. I don't know if you'd agree with that, but that's how 100%. I would. That's 100%. I think that's right. And so that's a frustration for some people who are thinking, well, we're nearly where we want to be. But I think the bigger picture is exactly what you're saying. And this is the thing that sticks in my craw is we are so boring, Jan. Mm-hmm. I have been watching the last games where we've been undefeated. I swear to God, I can't engage with it. Like you and I in the period of this show have been so blessed because it coincided with the Klopp era and the year where we win the league under Arne last season. And it's a lot of things. It's been a lot of things, but it's never been boring, ever. And we saw little traces of it in the way that Arne was approaching when he started with the team first. And it was a little bit risk averse compared to how Klopp used to play and stuff like that. But it didn't matter because we were winning. Then we start this season, we're getting the last minute winners. And then all of a sudden, there's nothing. And to watch the club at the moment, to watch the style of play, it's so tedious. It's so bland. And here's the thing I want to go out and throw back at you here. Irrespective of Mo Salah or Arne Slot's decision to bench him or his persistence with Cody Gakpo in the face of all logic, that boredom is a thing. That lack of inventiveness is a thing. That lack of chance creation is a thing. The lack of goal scoring is a thing. The concession of goals is a thing. And we've been told by all the journalists who are in the know, as they try to spin like crazy, that things have improved. We've solidified. We've got some sort of a pattern back. The games I've seen, Jan, we have been gifted goals by the opposition, and we have done precious little to create goals for ourselves. And in a game like Leeds, we conceded freaking 3. Where's the improvements, man? I don't see them. Like, over the course of this little period of games, what have you seen that's taken us forward?
Nothing, Trevor. I thought I might have had to work a bit harder for you to think the way I think. And the first thing I was going to say, what's about the 3 goals? Because also some journalists are putting up the goals. We scored, 2 at West Ham and 1 and 3, and it's not as if we've been poaching without Mo Salah. And I thought, are they really putting up the first 2 Leeds goals? Because they were gifts, weren't they? They gifted us the first 2 goals on Tuesday. Because we're at this level, we're at this stage now, Trevor, where the questions you're going to be asked, you'll have to give a hard-hitting answer, won't you? Because we're at that stage. There's no more paper and over, is it? And they asked me, what about Arne Slot? I said, well, I less and less believe that he's the guy to get us out of this. I just think that his fingerprints are too much over this team now. And the game on Tuesday against Milan was a strange. There were spells where we had the ball for like 2 minutes. And I actually said during commentary, I said, I feel like I'm at the World Championship of pointless passing. There was just nothing happening. And then people are going to 4-4-2. And I said, what did the 4-4-2 do for us? We got 4 midfield players who didn't know what to do. We got 2 strikers who wanted to run in the same channels. I said, so I don't know what the 4-4-2 did for us. And then people go, but it was really clever to play 4-4-2 because they played 3-5-2 and all their plays through the middle. I said, well, the smart play might have been to go over the flanks where there's more room and where they have a little bit more weakness, So, yeah, I'm totally with you, Trevor. And I was unsure whether you felt the same because I spoke to a lot of Liverpool fans, and I even had somebody. He said, "I thought we were brilliant in Milan," and I went, "Wow! I mean, whew." I know there was some controversy, and with the goal and the penalty and whatever it is, but generally, I said to somebody, if that's how you feel, watch the game now. Without there'll be no jeopardy in the game because you know the result. So sit down and watch the game, and then tell me that you still think we played well. Well, he hasn't done that as yet, isn't it? So it's different because you go and you convince yourself we're now playing Inter away from home and they're a good team, and they are a good team, but they're not on our level. In fact, they're nowhere near our level. Neither are Leeds. Hence the reason that, I'm delighted you as well. So obviously you just get that little bit more disappointed in it. Leeds for 65 minutes when we were winning 2-0, there was no way back in it for them, was there? Because they were so poor. They had no ideas. They gave it a go for 5 minutes where they put a few balls up for Calvin Lewin, and then Van Dijk went, no more of this. I'm going to win every ever from now on. And they had absolutely nothing. And then to come away with a 3-3 draw is really, really poor.
In other areas of life, you see people managing expectations of larger groups of people by telling them everything's awful, and showing them and making everything awful. And then when you get a little bit, suddenly you're supposed to be grateful for it. And I think we're both in agreement that neither of us are feeling particularly grateful as we watch Liverpool at the moment. And it is back to that question of, has the Salah incident actually stalled any potential impetus? Because here's where I kind of want to go next. And for those of you who are watching live and are listening, we will come back to Mo and we will come back to Arne Slot and how he's doing and bigger questions around Mo Salah before we get into some talk about Brighton later on. But I'm curious to know what you make of the stories that were broken or were breaking during the week. We did a show, I think it was Monday night, myself and Dave Davis, where we talked about some really well stood up rumors that Richard Hughes had spoken to Cesc Fabregas. We all heard the rumors last night that Xabi Alonso could have been a defeat away from the sack. He got that defeat. It looks like he's still hanging on by his fingertips in there, despite what is clearly an unfortunate situation, and people are talking about him. There's way too much speculation and sort of accuracy behind the Cesc stuff, too much fantasizing about the Xabi stuff for Arne Slot to be thinking that he's safe, because he ain't. I don't think he is. And I do think, like I said, the Mo thing is given a sort of stay of execution there. When you think about some of the alternatives that are available, we spoke about this briefly last day. Is it, putting aside the Liverpool way or concepts that we have about how we are a respectful club to managers, is there a real case to be made for making the change that needs to be made before the transfer window, like we spoke about on our last chat together?
I think that's really difficult, Trevor, because again, that depends on what our plans are. If we get in, if Arne Slot were to leave the club before the window opens or before the window closes, then you'd be under pressure to do something. But we did say last week when we spoke about this is that we did feel that, you know, if Liverpool were looking or, you know, checking out potentially new coaches, it would be in that sort of Sepp Fabregas, you know, young coaches, managers who's making a name for themselves. We would yet again find some stats attached to that manager coach that we like, and on the back of that we would appoint them. We wouldn't go in and get somebody who's done already in the game. We want somebody who's on that upward curve. Says Fabregas. I mean, Christ almighty, what a baller he was. He was a terrific footballer. And he's doing a good job at Como. What does that? I mean, is it Como Monza? Where's
Como,
it?
yeah,
Is
yeah,
it Como?
Como.
Yeah.
Yep.
I just got. That's because a friend of mine went to watch Monza play on Monday. That's why I got it in. So he's doing a good job without, you know, it will be one of them again. Is that what's he ever won? But it will probably be easier to get over that because he was also a terrific footballer. You know, whereas Arne Slot didn't quite come with that kind of, you know, having been a great footballer himself, he wasn't. So, but it is difficult, is because if anything happens, then, you know, everything will be pointed towards what happened after the Leeds game. And, you know, as we sit here, I don't think the club has any plans of getting rid of Arne Slot. How long that lasts, I don't know. People keep talking about credit. Credit in the bank doesn't last forever, so.
We were talking the last time about how people were saying, journalists were saying, Arne Slot's future will be results dependent. And we went on to lose several matches. And then that line kept getting trotted out, and we were not losing, we were drawing, we won 2, like you said. That would lead me to believe that the highest likelihood is that we keep faith with the manager till the end of the season, for good or bad. With that in mind, there is another potential exit then, to circle back to Mo Salah. He's kind of put himself in an awkward situation here, talking about this sort of sentimental idea of his parents coming to the Brighton game. And he's very much laying it out there that might be his last time and their last opportunity to see him play for Liverpool. That seemed to be very much where he was driving that particular bus. With that in mind, and let's just not get into the depths of depression about Mo Salah not being a Liverpool player anymore, or the moral right or wrongs of it. But if it is a reality, let's just speak about the potential scenario. If we are looking at a future without Mo Salah, I don't know about you, but we started this season with a shortage of senior strikers. We had 6 last season. We had 5 plus Rio and Gamoa this year. And one of them was not fit to play and still doesn't seem to be fit to play, which means we have effectively 4 because he won't play Rio. And he's like so many miles off it. It's comically, it's painful to watch. You cannot lurch forward into the second half of the season without addressing that. So now you're back into Semenyo rumors and the likes, aren't you? Like, it's going to be one of those transfer windows, I think, isn't it?
And then you say 2 months ago, you'd have given me Semenyo. I would have took him all day long. And now you're looking, and it's not just down to him, is it? But there's also this thing about there's not many players who last the full season, you know, at that level. You know, Semenyo did well for 2-3 months in it, but now he's fallen off the cliff a little bit. So all of a sudden I'm thinking, could he be one of them players? 2-3 good months every season. No good for teams who have aspirations of doing something else. I mean, my dream to replace Mo Salah, because Mo Salah will leave one day, is the boy at Bayern Munich, Michael Olise. He would be my, you know, because he has it all. You know, he has that ability to play that same role, be the same goal threat, but he also has the ability to play central. His vision is off the scale, isn't it? And he's just starting out, isn't it? But the problem is he's at Bayern Munich, and he obviously is quite happy. Although I do think that at some stage he'll want to come back to the Premier League. So yeah, for the time being, it looks like Semenyo is at the front of that queue. But I totally agree that we've got to make sure we don't leave ourselves short. You know, when you think and you praise Michael Edwards and his staff of the ability to plan and plan well into the future, we made a mess of it of late, that's for sure.
You've brought them up, and I think it's very valid to talk about, because we were all very high on the recruitment in the summer. Well, at least excited. I think you and I were more sort of warily excited than, saying this is a great idea. I think we both said, this is a big gamble on his side. It's a lot of money. This better work out. I know I was nervous about his age and his injuries. I don't think there's any, I'm not reinventing history there. I think we both said that. But Wirtz was exciting and Ekitike was exciting, and both of those have, to a greater or lesser extent, looked like they're going to be great for us. But the Hughes-Edwards thing is interesting because the stories that were being briefed to the press and the type of chaps who might be ringing you on your way home in the car was very much that it was Richard Hughes who was going to break the news to Salah about his lack of involvement in the squad. I felt really hinky about that because regardless of how you might feel about whether Slot's the right man for the job or not, he is currently the Liverpool manager, and I don't see a scenario where it's appropriate for anyone other than the gaffer to be making a call like that. Again, am I just a football dinosaur in that opinion, do you think, Jan? Is that just the way things have gone?
Trevor, I would be disappointed if that was the case. If it was Richard Hughes or somebody within the club felt it needed to be Richard Hughes, or Richard Hughes himself felt that he needed to be him, I would be disappointed. I've been at football clubs where they've done things previously and this is what we do, and I go, no, this is not what we do. I'm the manager, I'm responsible, and the least I can do is tell the people involved. So you take some kind of responsibility. And I would like to think that Arne Slot would be straightforward enough to go, no, listen, this is my job. Yeah, I have to work with these guys. We don't need interference from other departments of the football club. But you're right, Trevor. There's been a million rumours all week. Some, more believable than others, isn't it? But the rumours won't stop because now we're leading up to the Brighton game, and it's will he, won't he? He's going away to the AFCON on Sunday, isn't he? His mum and dad might even be there. So here we go again. Arne Slot press conference coming up. How many questions this time? It was only 16, wasn't it? In Milan, 16 in 10 minutes. Can they beat that, the boys?
Yeah, let's see what the ratio is. To be fair, I think everybody else around Slot has spoken very well. Ali, Robbo, I saw Virgil as well. They've all said, yeah. I think they've all done a decent job in maintaining a line where they don't, to use Mo's phrase, throw anyone under the bus, which is good to see. It is the most regrettable aspect of the whole thing, is that it just doesn't really jive with any of our ideas of what it is to respect how we do things at Liverpool as a club. And people say that's old-fashioned. And I found myself with a lot of sympathy for what Salah said, for the record, and the way he was feeling. And I think, whereas the essence of what he was saying, I have no problem with. Doing it on that platform is where you start to get a little bit hinky about it.